You jealous of my new shirt? Just so you know, I am very bad at describing and explaining why I like things, but I'm going to try to explain this show, and I'm sorry if I do a terrible job at it, but just watch. Hi Sarah, how are you today? I'm good if you're wondering. Don't mind my humongously swollen neck, throat thing. My double chin looks even more doubly than usual, so that's cool. Today I'm going to talk about a show that I've recently got really into. It is directed by Eli Roth, which is the main reason I got into it. Because the show itself, its content, isn't really something I would usually go for, because I'm not really into the kind of content it is. But I figured because I loved Cabin Fever and Hostel 1 and Hostel 2 by Eli, that I would give it a chance, and I would see if it was good. So I'm going to say right now there's probably going to be a few spoilers in this video, so if you don't mind being spoiled, then continue watching. The show is called Hemlock Grove, about this town called Hemlock Grove, and in the first episode a teenage girl is brutally murdered, and you don't really know how she gets murdered, but you know it's by an animal, because you can hear it growling and whatnot. So the whole show is kind of trying to figure out who murdered that girl. In more episodes to come, more people keep getting murdered, and it's by an animal that no one can find. And recently someone new moved to town called Peter, and he's not very well taken with the rest of town. Everyone thinks he's suspicious and that he's kind of creepy, and they call him names like Gypsy, and they call him a freak and stuff like that. And so this girl, Christina, who also lives in the town, sees him and says that he's a werewolf because these two fingers are the same length, which I guess means you're a werewolf for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, so this rumor goes around the school that he's a werewolf. He becomes friends with a guy called Roman, who I'm pretty sure is a vampire, but I don't know yet. And he is part of the Godfrey family, who is, I think, one of the wealthiest families in the whole town, and they're kind of feared. Within his family is Olivia, who's his mom, and Shelley, who's his sister. She has some sort of problem, I don't know what, but she always puts drops in her eyes and then goes all crazy. And Shelley is reconstructed, so she's very deformed because she died as a baby. And then there is Letha, who is Roman's cousin, and they have a relationship that's really creepy because they're kind of closer than cousins should be. It's really weird. And there was Dr. Norman Godfrey, who is their uncle, who's having an affair. Peter and Roman become friends. Turns out that Peter actually is a werewolf, and at night, on full moons, he turns into a werewolf and goes running in the streets as a werewolf. And one night, Roman watches him turn into a werewolf, so he knows for sure that he is one. And I'm not done the series yet, but I'm liking it a lot so far, and all of the characters are great. So there is Roman, Olivia, Shelley, Letha, and Norman, who are the Godfreys. Then there is Christina, there's Peter, and there's Clementine. And Clementine is a doctor who comes to Hemlock Grove to try to figure out what animal is causing this, these murders, who are ripping these people apart. So far in the series, I have loved the directing. The acting is great. There's very good character development. In the beginning, I found the acting to be kind of shaky, and I kind of didn't like it at first, but as I got to watch it, they developed more, and I found it got better. So far, I'm really into it. It is very gory and bloody, if you want to know. So if you're not into that, I wouldn't watch it. Very creepy, and sometimes it's hard to understand, but you have to watch very carefully to figure out what's going on. There are 13 episodes, and I think I'm on the 11th right now, or even I think I'm on the 10th or 11th episode. So I'm nearing the end, and so far, like I said, I'm loving it, and I can't wait to find out what happens. And I think Eli Roth did a great job at directing it, and kind of making the story his own. I suggest, if you like this kind of thing, that you should check it out. I think that, I'm not really into this kind of story. I'm usually not not that it's sci-fi, I'm not very much into tall tales that, aren't true, but this is, I like it a lot for some reason. So if you're into that kind of story, I highly suggest checking it out. If you're a fan of Eli Roth, I highly suggest checking it out. And I give it, so far I give it 8 out of 10 stars. I have to see how it ends before I can give it a full 10 out of 10. But yeah.